She walks outside and a goth is checking her out. Then a girl asks her to sign a petition to stop global warming. The sprinkles come on chasing off a kissing couple. A car alarm blares. A frat guy is torturing a few rushes and one collapses as she passes by him. Suddenly, she's stopped by Tim, her supposed stalker, a guy she had one date with and doesn't like. She makes fun of him, then leaves. She walks up to her sorority house and a girl greets her. Tree sneaks inside, but is immediately caught by Danielle, who reminds her about the house meeting at lunch. She walks inside her bedroom and is greeted by her roommate Lori, as she drops on her bed. As Lori recounts the previous night partying, Tree suddenly sees the time, realizing she's late for class. She jumps out of bed, rushing to get dressed and find her books. She turns around and Lori gives her a birthday cupcake, telling her that she can't hide her birthday from her. Tree blows out the candle. Tree walks into a class, held by a professor.
Head northwest on National Highway 34.
She has lunch with her sorority sisters. As one of them, Becky sits down with a high-carb lunch, deemed bad by Danielle. They make her leave because of it, but when she stands up, Carter walks into her, spilling a chocolate shake all over Tree. She doesn't want her sorority sisters to know she knows him and pulls him to the side. He gives her back the bracelet that she forgot at his room. Later, she goes into a hospital and declines a call with her dad.
Continue on National Highway 34 for 52 kilometers.
What she's doing can have serious consequences. Tree walks into an office and the professor walks inside. She instantly starts kissing him, but suddenly his wife knocks on the door. That night, she's in her room and Danielle comes in, wearing her top. They talk about the party they're going to later, when there's a power shortage. Tree is listening to her dad's message as she walks by some jocks, going toward the party. She walks into a creepy underpass, where a music box is playing Happy Birthday. Tree thinks someone is joking with her, but there's a noise behind her. There's someone in a college mascot mask, staring at her without saying anything. He disappears. She passes through the underpass, when he suddenly jumps out with a knife and starts chasing her. Tree stumbles and falls. He grabs her and kills her. Tree wakes up in the same dorm room. Things start playing out the same way as before. She dresses, as Carter talks to her and she asks for Tylenol in the frat.
Hello, Ding Ding
She
Pie.
looks confused as she runs into Tim again, but this time she asks him what day it is. It's Monday the 18th. Tree is greeted by the same girl in front of her sorority and runs into Danielle, who reminds her of the sorority lunch. Lori greets her in the same way as before when she enters the room. Tree feels weird, but sees she's late for class and hurries. Lori gives her the cupcake, but she gets more confused and rushes out. Later, she's at lunch, when the same scenario with Becky plays out. Tree tries to warn her about Carter, but they still run into each other. Carter walks away, but she reminds him to give her the bracelet back. Later, she's in the professor's office, wanting to talk to him, but he kisses her and his wife knocks on the door. That night, she's watching a birthday video of her and her mom, when Danielle walks in. Tree is freaked out about the blackout. She walks down the same road going toward the underpass, but when she gets there and hears the music box, she takes another way to the party. Tree reaches the house and it looks empty. It's locked, so she bangs on the door. A guy in the mascot mask opens and she punches him, when the lights come on for her birthday surprise. The guy under the mask was dead. Later, Danielle and Tree are talking and Nick approaches them, flirting with her to the dismay of Danielle. Regardless, she follows him to his room. When she walks inside, the room looks empty. She checks herself out in the mirror, when Nick shows up behind her again and she takes off his mask. He begins playing loud music and dances to it badly, so Tree is unimpressed. She texts with Danielle, as another man wearing a mask walks into the room and kills him. Tree can't hear anything over the loud music and when she turns around she thinks the man is dead. She walks toward him and he takes out the knife. They struggle on the bed and a frat boy walks in, but doesn't react to what's happening. The masked man stabs her. Tree wakes up in the dorm room, screaming and scaring Carter. She dresses in a panic and runs out, as everything keeps playing out the same: goth, petition girl, sprinklers, car alarm, frat guys, and eventually Tim. Lori greets her the same way when she enters her room and sits down on the bed. Tree tells Lori that she feels like she's losing her mind and tries to explain to her that she's lived through the same day twice as proof. She mentions the cupcake and the surprise party. Lori doesn't believe her story. Tree tells her that somebody will kill her that night and starts panicking, scaring Lori too. But she tells her to get some rest, considering the day is stressful for her because of her mom. Later, Tree is seen reinforcing her windows and pushing a drawer in front of her door. She sees a picture of her and her mom when suddenly Danielle knocks on Tree sits on her bed and goes to eat the cupcake when she starts looking for the remote. She finds a birthday card and the TV suddenly goes off, then on again showing the news briefly, then off again. She hears a noise in the closet and grabs a hammer, but when she opens it, no one's there. She goes to check the bathroom, but before she can check behind the shower curtain, TV comes on again. The masked man appears behind her and after a brief struggle, kills her again. Tree wakes up screaming in the dorm room, scaring Clark. She freaks out and runs off. Everything is the same again: goth, petition girl, sprinklers, car alarm, frat guys. She's
Apa? Enggak saya habis. I'm just trying to see your reaction. Wait, my reaction technique goes together.
group decides to go back to the car, but the couple become nervous when they look at a window in the university building. Grumpy demands to know what it is, so Skinny says that there is a ghost living on the 5th floor in the ladies' room. Crybaby adds that a girl hangs herself over there, which is why her spirit haunts the university. The couple warn them that there is a shrine inside the ladies' room, because there is also a nymph in a tie dress roaming around. Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you an adventure horror film, The Lair. Spoilers ahead, watch out.
Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a horror film. The cleaning lady pours the blended rats into a bowl before placing the bowl inside a refrigerator. Elsewhere, a sexy lady named Alice is lying down on the bed while telling her nightmare to Michael, her lover. In Alice's nightmare, she cannot breathe as the water turns into cement. Michael tries to comfort Alice by hugging her, and they plan a 3-week vacation to Italy. Alice is upset because she thinks that the vacation will be postponed, just like their other planned vacations. After that, Alice calls home service on the phone to fix her bathtub. The following day, Alice is in an addiction recovery program where she says that she is addicted to love. She also says that Michael is married, and he most likely would not leave his wife for Alice. Because of this, Alice's sponsor believes that she deserves more. She deserves to be put first and should not settle on being second. Alice also knows that she should leave Michael, and a recovery program helps her gain the courage to leave him. After the meeting, the sponsor says that Alice should not communicate with Michael anymore, and this time Alice should come through with it, as she believes that Michael is ruining Alice's life. Shortly after, when Alice comes back to her condo unit, Michael calls her, but she doesn't answer his call. Alice then realizes that someone is in her bathroom. She goes to her bathroom and sees a woman with a scarred face holding a clump of hair. The hair clogged Alice's bathtub, and the woman, named Shelley, is sent there to fix her bathtub. After unclogging the bathtub drain, Shelley tells Alice that there was a rat hole in the wall, but she had already fixed the problem by killing the rat and closing the hole. As Shelley is about to leave, Alice asks her if she's willing to clean her house every Tuesday and Friday, and she would pay her $100 every time. Shelley agrees, despite the management not allowing her to clean units in the condo. As Alice is preparing her massage bed, a gift arrives on her doorstep. She opens the gift and sees a suitcase from Michael, and this makes her smile. As Alice is seeing a client, the two were surprised by the arrival of Shelley. Alice proceeds to take a bath, while Shelley mops around the condo. Shortly after, Shelley sees Alice's pearl necklace and steals it. After this, Shelley peeks through the bathroom door and sees Alice sleeping in the bathtub. After taking a bath, Alice receives a text from Michael asking if she received his present. Alice replies yes, and then Michael calls her. Michael tries to convince Alice to go on a vacation with him and informs her that he is going to Alice's condo, to which Alice agrees hesitantly. Alice calls her sponsor and tells that Michael is on his way. Her sponsor tells her to avoid Michael at all costs. To avoid Michael, Alice invites Shelley to dinner, and she agrees. During dinner, Shelley finishes her meal very fast and then tells Alice how she got the scar on her face. She says that she got burned because of an accident a long time ago. As Shelley is telling her story, Michael arrives at Alice's place, but the door is locked. He tries calling her on her phone, but she doesn't answer. Alice starts to get anxious and lights a cigarette in front of Shelley. Alice opens up about Michael having a wife, but he is still dating Alice. She also says that she is about to end things with Michael. After eating dinner, Alice invites Shelley to watch TV. After that, Alice offers to take Shelley home, as there are no more buses at that time. During the car trip, Shelley shows admiration for Alice's beautiful appearance, and Alice offers to teach Shelley how to apply makeup the next time Shelley cleans her condo. Shelley then asks Alice to stop the car and proceeds to tell her that she can walk from where they stopped. As Shelley arrives at her broken-down home, she wears the stolen pearl necklace around her neck, then stands in front of a mirror, wishing she could take Alice's place. Shelley goes to her refrigerator, hits the bowl with blended rats, and then storms out of her broken-down home to a trailer engraved in the land near her house. She walks inside the trailer, sits down on the floor, and places the bowl on the ground. Shelley then tells someone to eat the blended rats. A woman comes crawling out and starts eating on all fours. After a week, Alice receives a call from Michael. He begs Alice to reunite with him, but ultimately, Alice chooses to drop the call and leave him hanging. Without Michael's knowledge, his wife sees everything and suspects that her husband is cheating on her. While Shelley is cleaning Alice's place, she sees a pack of cigarettes. She then proceeds to question Alice about the cigarette pack, referring to the promise she made that she would quit smoking. Shelley then tells Alice to throw the pack in the trash, and she does. After this, Alice and Shelley share a close moment where Alice applies makeup on Shelley. Alice then offers one of her dresses to Shelley. She accepts and wears the dress in front of a mirror. However, while vainly staring at her reflection in the mirror, Shelley's jealousy of Alice further intensifies as she compares herself to Alice. While Alice is sleeping, Shelley drugs her by using a cloth of chemicals. Shelley then mixes plaster and applies it on her face to make a mold of it. Shelley sits in front of a mirror and remembers how her mother used to treat her when she was a kid. It's revealed that Shelley was forced by her mom to have sex with older men in exchange for money. Shelley's mom made her a commodity that men could buy and use at any time they would want to. After the flashback, Shelley takes a mold off Alice's face and makes a mask that she can wear out of it. After applying makeup on the mask to make it look more like Alice, Shelley places the mask on her face while wearing the dress that Alice gave her. The next Eve, but she is persistent. She keeps asking if she can make Alice better. Due to Shelley's stubbornness, Alice agrees. While drinking tea that Shelley made for her, Alice receives a message from Michael. Shelley is not pleased with this and asks her to tell him to stop. It is clear that Shelley does not want Michael bothering Alice. Alice then politely asks Shelley to leave, and eventually she does. While Alice is in the gym, without her knowledge, Shelley decides to wear the mask she made from Alice's face and have a bath at Alice's bathtub. After weeks of Alice not replying to Michael, he decides to go to Alice's gym and meet her there. Michael hugs Alice, and Alice hugs back, followed by a romantic interaction at Alice's home. However, without Michael and Alice's knowledge, Shelley is watching everything from a corner in the house. The next day, Alice's sponsor calls her and figures out that Alice is back with Michael again. They have a heated argument on the phone, although ultimately they make up. Just as the phone call Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror thriller film, Creep. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with two sewage workers trekking through the canals of the London Underground. The older sewage worker teaches the newbie the ropes, pointing towards a clogged drain that they need to fix. The newbie tries his hand at unclogging it, but he tugs too hard and all the waste falls on him. The older one laughs at his predicament. All of a sudden, they hear a horse scream coming from the other side of the tunnel. The older worker dismisses it as just mere echoes, and they continue their trek. They stumble across a strange hole in the tunnel walls. The older worker is astounded at this discovery because he has been working there for years, and that hole wasn't there before. He steps inside the hole and sees an entirely new tunnel no one has mapped yet. The newbie is filled with trepidation and decides to stay behind while his coworker explores. The older worker ventures deeper into the tunnel and then goes silent moments later. The newbie calls for him but hears no reply. Worried, he steps into the tunnel and finds the older man injured and in shock. He asks him what happened, and then he hears a frantic woman running towards them. For a brief second, you can see the woman's bloody face right before something drags her back into the darkness. On the other side of the city, a young and attractive blonde woman is mingling with her coworkers at an office party. She passes by her obsessive coworker, who compliments her and asks her where she'll be later. Creeped out, she gives him a vague answer and walks away. He follows her with a stare. The woman chats with her friends and excitedly tells them that their other friend will take her to an exclusive party later that night, and she'll probably get to meet a male A-list celebrity. One of her office mates informs her that that friend has already left their office party. Myth that her friend left her behind, the woman hurriedly catches a cab to the subway station so she can still get to the party. However, the ticket machine only accepts exact changes and she only has a larger bill. A homeless woman sitting with her dog offers her a travel card and she buys it from her. The woman sits down on a bench to wait for her train, which will come in 6 minutes. She leans on the wall and falls asleep. When she wakes up, the station is empty. She returns to the gate but finds that it's already locked and no other people are left. The woman is now trapped. She goes back to the platform just in time to board the last train. She doesn't notice someone else boarding a train a few cars away. The woman is relieved that she might make the party after all, but her luck is still terrible. The train suddenly stops and the lights turn off. She tries to go to the front of the train where the operator should be, but the door to that car is locked. What she doesn't know is that the driver is already dead. The woman turns around to see someone shrouded in the darkness, pointing a flashlight at her. She assumes that it's one of the train workers, and she reprimands him for not checking if the station is empty before locking up. The man is revealed to be her obsessive coworker, who's been stalking her. He insists that she wants him to follow her because she reciprocates his feelings. Laughing, the woman rejects him and chalks it up to him being drunk. A The stalker moves closer and ingests some drugs, intent on forcing himself onto the woman because he believes that she wants his drunk hormones. She tries to fight him off, but he's stronger. Suddenly, an unknown creature snatches the stalker and hauls him out of the train car. A few moments later, he reappears all bloody and scared, and he yells for her to run, before he is finally dragged into the dark tunnels. Terrified after what she'd just seen, the woman runs out of the car and goes back to the station. She tries dialing the payphones and looking for other people, but to no avail. She sees the homeless woman's dog and follows it to a storeroom where she discovers that the homeless woman has been staying there with her boyfriend and dog. The woman tries to explain what happened, but the couple is too jacked up on drugs to comprehend. She asks him if there's a guard or someone else in the station, and the homeless man answers that there's one in the control room, but they don't bother him, so he won't bother them. The woman is desperate and offers him 50 pounds so he'll take her to the guard. He accepts and they leave the storeroom. The two walk through the station, and the homeless man shares that several homeless people around the station have disappeared over the recent months, and that a strange creature is said to have kidnapped them. When the woman's face grows frightened, the homeless man tells her that he was just joking. Back in the storeroom, the homeless woman wakes up from her drug haze and looks for her boyfriend. She steps outside with her dog to look for him when she sees a swarm of rats and is suddenly attacked by the creep. The woman and the homeless man hear the stalker's cries, and they find him crawling along the train track, begging for help. She pleads for the homeless man to help her carry him, but he refuses, saying he won't help a rapist. She resorts to paying him another 50 pounds, and they heave him off the tracks into the platform. They also see that he has a huge bloody gash on his back from the attack, and he's bleeding out fast. The dog then clambers up to the homeless man with traces of blood on its body. He panics and screams his girlfriend's name and runs away to find her. He goes back to their hideaway and finds a trail of blood leading to a tunnel, but no sign of the homeless woman. The woman buzzes the intercom for the control room. The guard answers, and she tells him what happened. Unfortunately, he doesn't believe her. She begs him to call an ambulance, but he demands that she show him proof first. She goes back to the injured stalker and moves him into the security camera's view so the guard will finally believe her. But he has already lost consciousness. Upon seeing the body, the guard turns to call for help, but a swarm of rats is at his feet. Suddenly, the creep is behind him, and he slits the guard's throat. The woman hears his screams through the intercom and knows that whoever kills the guard will come for her next. She runs away to the storeroom, but she finds the homeless man high on heroin. She wakes him up so they can walk to the next station together through the tunnels. They take the dog with them and go into the dark entrance. The man confesses that he wanted to take his girlfriend back home to Scotland so she could get clean and better, but he never had the courage to. All of a sudden, a train barrels through the tracks. They slip into one of the service tunnels to the side. The train stops, and the two debate about whether the creep is inside the train. Nevertheless, the homeless man decides to confront the creep and steps inside. The monster attacks him, and he dies a terrible death. After seeing the homeless man get slaughtered, the woman flees and falls down to the sewage. She finds a ladder and climbs up to a storage room with many cardboard boxes on the shelves. Right then, the woman comes face to face with the creep, who looks monstrous and deformed. He captures her and takes her to his lair within the subterranean maze of the London Underground. The creep keeps all of his kidnapped victims inside half-submerged cages. He waits for them to die before eating them for food. First, he drags the stalker's dead body and butchers him. Then he puts the woman into one of these cages where she meets the newbie from earlier, who was also captured. His older co-worker was already killed by the creep. They concoct a plan where the newbie will play dead and distract the creep, while the woman escapes from her cage. She is successful, and then hits the creep with her stiletto heel. She releases the newbie from his cage, and the two escape. They find themselves in an abandoned underground medical facility. The room is decorated with children's toys and a few bassinets with names on them, but the jars containing fetuses suggest that it's an abortion facility. They see the homeless woman unconscious on the stirrups, with blood flowing between her legs. Initially, they assume that she's dead, and they decide to leave the facility and find a way to escape. Unbeknownst to the woman and the newbie, the homeless woman begins to move. The creep goes to the operating room, and the homeless woman whimpers at the sight of him. He affectionately looks at a picture of a middle-aged doctor before washing his hands and putting on surgical gloves and gown. He begins to mimic a surgeon's actions during an operation. He then pulls out a bone saw and hacks the homeless woman to death in an attempt to do an abortion. While in the tunnels, the woman and the newbie discover a hidden train car. Inside, they see a dirty mattress and toys. The woman picks up a framed picture of the same doctor, but this time he is with a young boy who shows signs of deformity. It is now clear that this doctor used to run the abortion facility and must have had gotten the creep from one of his patients. He then raises the boy, which is why the monster adores him and tries to mimic what he does during abortion procedures. They hear a noise, and the newbie opens the door, and the dog rushes inside. The newbie gets tired of waiting for the creep to make a move, so he decides that he will fight him right now. He begins to break the train car's windows and makes noise to draw the attention of the creep. The creep suddenly appears through the broken window and chokes the newbie from behind, but the other man manages to knock him to the ground and gain the upper hand. The woman grabs a crowbar and raises it high, intent on dealing the fatal blow. However, the creep starts to beg, communicating the only way he knows how, by copying the words that his victims used to tell him when they were begging for their lives too. This stops the woman in her tracks and gives the creep enough time to kill the newbie. Now alone, the woman races through the dark tunnels while the creep follows her. She runs through the tracks, but he catches up to her. He tries to drag her by the hair, then forces her to sit up and face him. For a few moments, he just touches her face, seemingly fascinated by the woman. She spies that he's wearing a hospital wristband with a name written on it, so she calls him by that name. However, the creep gets enraged and slaps her face, knocking her to the ground. She grabs hold of a hook with a chain and stabs him with it. She secures it around his throat and drags him. The woman connects the chain to the opposite tunnel wall. The creep tries to throw a metal barrel at her, but a passing train runs over the chain, and the momentum rips the hook across the creep's throat. He makes a guttural scream and falls to the ground. The woman slowly approaches the dying creep. Blood is gushing from his throat, and he is in pain. She raises a crowbar in case she needs to finish the job, but the creep finally takes his last breath and dies. The movie ends with the woman now being safe. She walks out of the tunnel and returns to the train station where it all started. The woman has been through hell and she looks like it. She is in shock and collapses on the platform. The homeless woman's dog comes running to her and she hugs it. Two men in suits walk to the platform, a sign that it is now morning and the early commuters are making their way to the station. In the end, one of the men drops a coin by the woman's feet, thinking that she's a homeless person because of her bedraggled appearance. The woman finds this ironic and begins to laugh while clutching the dog. This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today, I'll show you a romance fantasy film, Undine. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The film starts with a woman named Undine and a man named John, a couple who's out to have a date. There's a build-up tension between them as Undine suspects her partner of cheating on her. John tries to brush it off by acting normal and offering her coffee. Undine declines at first, but still accepts the offer in the end. She is having a hard time suppressing her emotion and fails as she cries silently when John leaves her to get coffee. But as soon as the man comes back, Undine holds back her tears and tries to act like nothing happened. John receives a call and is ready to go after lighting his cigarette. Undine stops him by threatening him that she will have to kill him if he leaves her. John agrees with her, but his face says otherwise. And so Undine leaves. Undine goes inside an establishment where personnel greets her. She changes her clothes and looks outside from the window, where she spots John talking to someone on the phone. She's not happy with what she sees, as she probably thinks he's talking to another woman. But then someone calls for her attention and tells her that someone's already waiting for her. Undine turns out to be a historian lecturing on Berlin's urban development. As they're in the middle of the lecture, Undine zones out as her mind goes back to where John is. Luckily, she's back on track immediately. After her lecturing session, she goes outside to meet John where she left him.
ये रोड कौन बनवा रहा है? कौन बनवाता है ये रोड? ये रोड कौन बनवाता है? हाँ? बीआरओ वाले। अच्छा, अभी भी कंस्ट्रक्शन चलता है, हाँ? सालों भर चलते रहता है क्या? सालों भर चलता है? कहाँ से हैं आप? साल के? ठीक है।
He and his fellow divers check the footage of the giant catfish he got a while ago. They start packing their things and are ready to go. Meanwhile, Undine is riding a train to meet Kristoff. As soon as she's out from the train, they hug each other. They spend the night together in a hotel. Later on, Undine and Kristoff dive underwater together. He shows Undine the carved name of her under the water, probably his own doing as an effort to be romantic. Kristoff lets go of her hand to properly show her the name, until suddenly Undine is nowhere from Kristoff's sight. The catfish appears. Moments later, Kristoff spots a pair of diver flippers floating with a flashlight. He searches for Undine out of panic, and finally finds Undine, but she is being dragged by the catfish. Undine's diving equipment is no longer intact to her. The catfish leaves her floating unconscious body in the water. Kristoff immediately retrieves her and performs CPR. Fortunately, Undine is saved by his immediate rescue. They hug and flirt each other's hormones right after, as if nothing even happened. Later on, after spending the weekend together, Undine now readies herself to ride the train as Kristoff escorts her to the station. As they both wait for the train, Kristoff gives something to Undine before her train can depart. He gives her a figurine of a diver that is from the aquarium that broke when they first met. Undine goes back to being an historian and cherishes the figurine to the point that she always has it beside her. Unfortunately, it breaks as she accidentally hits it with her hand as she wakes up. Her colleague requests her to have the forum and thinks she practices for the forum as she tries to fix the broken figurine. Undine receives a call from Kristoff. He visits her in her unit. They spend the night together and talk about the figurine diver that's now broken. They both enjoy the night, kissing and even having wine spilled. The next day comes. Kristoff will be at work in time for Undine's forum, so he asks her to let him hear her forum talk, as he will not be present for her forum. Undine allows his request and starts her practice talk for the forum. Kristoff listens to her talk with full attention. They go outside the veranda to make the forum performance realistic by asking the audience to participate in the talk. The scene shows how utterly in love the two are with each other. The next day, they walk to the train station as Kristoff is set to go back to his work. While they bid each other goodbye, they tongue massage some more. They then both go back to their work. Later on, before Undine can get inside the establishment she's working at, she finds John waiting for her. John admits that he's truly having an affair with someone else. He shows his regret. He tells her that he's willing to make up for his mistakes. But Undine heads to the forum venue. As she's about to start the forum, she looks from the window view and finds John waiting for her in the same spot where she left him from the very beginning. Undine brushes it off and continues with the forum talk. As soon as she's done with her forum talk, just like from before, she goes straight outside to meet John. They head to the same cafe where they first seen when Undine suspected John of cheating on her. They sit, but the waiter tells them that Undine cannot order anything from the cafe, as she's banned there because of the incident she and Kristoff made from before. Undine does not move and just listens to John talk. John tells her that he will wait for her to finish and tells her that they will drive to the hotel Undine has always wanted him to bring her to. Undine does not say anything and simply walks out. Undine views John from the window once again, seemingly not successful in completely moving on from her ex. Undine catches him leaving their spot. This implies that John will no longer wait for her, as he probably has already accepted that their relationship is completely over now. Back in her dorm, Undine happily listens to music. Kristoff calls her, asking her